my first question that I really should be asking is, how can I create a realistic budget for a trade show?
I love.
Maybe I have a budget, but what should be my realistic budget?
I mean, there you go. We're not burying the lead. That's the first thing out of the chute. By the way, I love that we're doing this because when we did the least asked questions by business owners, and we certainly there's more than 10, but I love the 10 that we picked. It just I know in the middle of that episode we were talking about, man, we should be doing this for exhibitors because so many people are disappointed with results. There's things they didn't think about, they wish they planned for. So I think experience builders listeners, those that are sharing this with their customers, it's a great thing to share with end user exhibitors and or just use it, internalize it yourself as questions to talk to them. So to your point, how do you create a realistic budget? Well, I think there's two approaches. One is if you've been doing shows, add up all the bills you paid from your last big industry show and document that. Most exhibitors that are veteran at exhibit have that information. Some already have it in spreadsheets. But so one approach is to say, we're going to spend what we spent last year. But I would challenge you to look a little bit further and say, did we get the results we wanted last year? Because if we didn't, and we need to lean in and do more, if we need to create an incentive for people come see us, and that might be a nice gift or a 2 or 3 levels of gift based on how good a prospect they are or how deeply they go into your engagement. So there may be an additional budget for that. Maybe you found out you didn't bring the right people to the show and you need to bring in different people, and that could change travel expense. Um, Maybe you're going to create some kind of an event or something in the booth. It doesn't have to necessarily be a celebrity. Maybe it's an interactive game, but something that might add to the cost. So you want to make sure you're adding that. But one, I think a good place to start is past year's budgets, but challenge yourself on what do we want to accomplish this year, and how we're going to do it. And so you're just kind of reverse engineering um, what you're envisioning that final experience being, and it's wildly successful, and 300 people have been through the booth. And did you hand out 300 things? Did you hand out 200? Did you hand out 100, pen or keychain level things? But you've handed out 50 VIP gifts. Are you bringing a little bit more in terms of staff? So not everybody's on duty all day. We're going to work in shifts. So we've got a few more people, which again adds to travel. I think you have to think about all those things, Khalil, before you can put a number on what a realistic budget is.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
So yeah, for sure. And I think that's probably why it's a least asked question, because they come with a budget, but they're not thinking about all the factors that you're obviously aware of as an expert.
By the way,
So another thing,
the most memorable companies I visited, sometimes I'm getting something after the show. They're thanking me for coming in, and I'm getting something nice that sort of ties into what we talked about or what their offering is. And again, so there's pre-show marketing, there's post-show follow through, and often that may mean some kind of incentive as you're asking for the next appointment in whatever your sales process is. So something to consider there.
okay. I think another big problem, I don't know how to know how impactful the show is. And how do you suggest that I actually measure the return for my company on our trade show spend?
Great question. This is a hot topic right now, I think, because, and there's a lot of podcasts that are emerging where this is discussed. And I think you have to decide, this comes down to what are the goals for the show? I mean, if you're going to launch a new product, or if you know your sales cycle for whatever your service offering is typically 6 months, 9 months, 12 months. It's not easy to measure. It used to be some companies can go and within 90 days they can see the sales just shoot up on their graph because of, it's just that quick type of a sales cycle. Most of us don't make sales. So if you have a system of measuring sales over 3, 6, 9, and 12 months, I think it's tougher after that. I think you keep tracking that. But I think most of us are, Matt Kleinrock's team over at Rockway Exhibits has a podcast. I love, they use the word pipeline, right?
Hmm.
We say getting leads, driving sales pipeline. This is the perfect place. These kinds of events are perfect for driving opportunities that are going to go in your pipeline. And the sales are only going to come if you're amazing at the follow up and the follow through, right? So you have to be great at those things. But are you there for pipeline? Are you there for brand awareness, which is not an easy thing? So that's probably going to involve some surveys that you're going to do over the next 6 months, 12 months about how people are reading that. And trust me, I know the bosses upstairs in the C suite aren't in love with slippery goals like brand awareness, right? But I think you have to be honest about, um, you know, what in the sales process, what part of the influence of that final sale that gets made is influenced by that trade show or by that event. How do we look to attribute the spend there and what we did there? Because I'm telling you, you and I both know if we meet for the first time at a show, Khalil, and that's where we connect in a booth, and maybe we connect over a drink in a bar, or we're at a networking reception for somebody, and we see each other again. But now we've connected 2 or 3 times over that 3 or 4 day conference. It's so much. I can't even begin to say how much further this relationship has gone because of our multiple yet brief encounters. That's the
Yeah.
kind of things I think people are starting to look at now when they're looking at gauging return. It can't always just be based on the sales you make 90 days after the show. You have to start figuring out how to quantify the value of deeper relationships or introductions to a decision maker that you normally will never get via email or your other traditional marketing, or some other thing. Or maybe it's somebody that you've been tickling and marketing to for 2 years, and they finally get to meet you, and the relationship takes a giant, hyper step forward. So, um,
Yeah.
are you
Well,
creating
and I think
some?
that it's,
Are you creating some kind of an event in the booth during show hours that's going to help you track and measure value there? So, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. What were you going to
yeah.
say?
No, I think it's ultimately how are you actually measuring it is very important. Like you said, the first 90 days could be one way that you're thinking about it, but you've got to come up with some concrete ways to actually measure it. And sometimes it's just putting a how did you hear about us on your forms, and making it very blank, not putting like a select option. Then you can maybe attribute to that specifically as the first entry point into your company. But then it's also about, you know, if you're putting inside of your pipeline into your deals, that there was a meeting or a touch point at the trade show, that's going to be a really great way to touch
Yeah.
it. And you can have a really easy custom field inside of your CRM to be able to track that on your deals. But also, you've got to see it as an opportunity for your salespeople to be scheduling meetings with the people that they already
Absolutely.
know that maybe are already in the pipeline, and
Yeah.
that's how you're going to measure it.
Honestly, Khalil,
It's giving that other
yeah,
in-person touch
you
point.
just said it. The days of just getting a great looking exhibit and showing up and sort of freestyling the rest of it over, man. I mean, like you said, poll results have shown 75% of the people that attend trade shows and expositions already have a list of who they want to see when they go. And the chances is you're not on it. So if you're not doing some kind of pre-show marketing and pre-show communication, that means more than one. But if you're not targeting and talking to them 3 or 4 months in advance and giving them reasons to come and see you or to get on that list, man, I'm telling you, the odds get a lot longer for you on having any kind of a
Yeah.
meaningful encounter.